Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles, in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center, and I have here Katie with her fantastic film, Jenna Has to Live. Let's take a look at the clip.
Hey there. Hey. What's up?
How does that affect your...
I'll let you in on a little secret. Alcohol is nature's second insulin.
You're gonna need another. Oh, hell yeah! Hell yeah! Woo!
Katie, I'm really happy to have you part of the New Filmmakers LA family, and thank you so much for bringing such a wonderful film to us. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Absolutely. So thank you for having me. Jenna Has to Live is about a type 1 diabetic who is about to get evicted from her apartment, so she sells some of her insulin to make a rent payment and then has to ration what's left, all while hiding it from a coworker who's well-meaning but a little nosy.
Well, I'm just so happy you made a film in and around this because, you know, I know we spoke even at the festival of just like, I don't think we'll really understand what one goes through on so many different levels. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this story?
Yeah, so I myself have type 1 diabetes. I've had it since I was 19, so almost a decade now. And when I started writing Jenna Has to Live, I was just about to get kicked off from my parents' health insurance, because 26, you know, that's when it happens in the States. And of course, that came with so much anxiety. And I was like, what am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if that happens? And just this incredible sense of unfairness and dread about having to choose between two different necessities to survive. Like, what if, you know, rent in LA is crazy, right?
Crazy, yeah.
And so, like, after I'm done with grad school, like, what if I can't afford an apartment? Like, what if I can't afford my insulin? Like, those kinds of things. And so I took all of those anxieties and did my own little therapy. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a film about it.
Wow.
It's something that I feel is important, people don't know about, and something I think people beyond the diabetes community can really relate to, because, you know, everyone has their own struggles, whether it be with a disability, whether it be visible, invisible, any kind of healthcare system, healthcare illness, healthcare issue. I think people can relate to that.
Well, thank you for shining a light and sharing something so personal to you, because I think not only is it going to educate others, entertain obviously with the film, but also just bring some awareness to this about, you know, things that may not seem visible as well, and just how we should be, you know, conscious, appreciative and sensitive to that. I won't deny, I'm happy to say on camera, that the healthcare system is the biggest scam in America. I think it's awful how that people have to pay to take care of their health.
Absolutely.
And you know, and particularly in this situation where insulin obviously is expensive, but also it can go to waste. And that's just tragic that people are fighting to pay for it, and there's insulin that goes to waste at the same time. And I know within the community, a lot of people try and help each other with that context too. You know, the story was delivered really well, but you know, there was a horror to it where, you know, the horror was the reality, you know, and the reality of like, do I pay rent or do I take care of myself? Two of which should be a given, right? And with Jenna's character, you know, and it was just tragic to know that this story you created actually was a reality. How did you go about taking something sort of so personal and then, as a director, working with something that is so personal to you? How do you work with your actors?
I think, you know, it's an important distinction between the writing process and the directing process. You know, when you're directing the thing you have written, and especially when it's so personal. So, you know, during the writing process, you're not thinking about, you know, working with an actor, like, how would I talk to them about this? When you're writing, you're just like, production is not a reality at that moment, because you don't want to hold yourself back. And so I got some really good writing advice, because I was writing this in a class for my thesis. This was my thesis.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah. So this was my thesis to get my MFA from LMU. Shout out LMU.
Yes.
And I got some really great advice that was to write the most personal, you know, effective stories. You need to dive into the deepest, darkest parts of yourself, but you also have to leave yourself a rope to climb back out.
Oh, I love that.
Whether
yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was a really good piece of advice.
Yeah.
And so for me, my rope was just making sure that, you know, my friends knew I was writing about this. I had some really great professors who knew this was, you know, a tough subject for me, something that, you know, was unlocking some of those deep-seated panics and anxieties. And after I was done with that writing process, then you kind of take your little writer's hat off and you put your director's hat on.
Yeah.
And then you think about, how do I talk to someone about this? And at that point, you kind of have to draw a line between, okay, this story isn't about me anymore. This is a different person on the page. And so at that point, Jenna became less in my head and more of a person. And Allison Walsh, who did such a great job of portraying Jenna, was just such a treat to work with.
Yeah.
And she brings this incredible vulnerability that really juxtaposes what, like, this strong-willed, you know, steel bar that Jenna has in herself about also keeping people away and wanting to do everything by herself.
Yes, there was an incredible vulnerability. You really actually felt moment to moment what she was going through. You know, it really was displayed so well on, you know, on camera. And, you know, this is, again, life is crazy expensive, and how that can bridge anxiety on top of already life in itself. But these two things that were just like, what choice do I make? And how many people in this country have to face those situations on a daily basis. Having been through that personal experience, then obviously as character Jenna, you know, telling her story through your actor, what did you want your audience to take from your film?
Yeah. I wanted the audience to take away curiosity about, you know, what insulin rationing was. And in a short film format, it's really hard and also just not very good writing to do a lot of exposition and spell everything out. So I just wanted the audience to take away the emotion of that inner struggle of, what necessity does Jenna choose in this moment? How does she make that, you know, Sophie's choice, if you will?
Yeah.
And I wanted them to feel every moment of that, while also getting the sense that Jenna was afraid of being judged, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, something everyone can relate to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so this incredible sense of pride. And so overall, even though it's really important to know that the film is about type 1 diabetes and insulin rationing and selling insulin on, like, this insulin black market.
Yeah.
What was more important was the emotion behind that. And, you know, you can't, in my belief, you know, fill a short film with all this kind of medical jargon. So I was like, you know, some of the audience might be lost on the specifics that's going on.
Yeah.
But I made the choice, and I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with that because I thought it was more important for the emotion to come through.
Absolutely, and you really did do that. And insulin black market, you know, I mean, that particular scene, I'm not going to give too much away, but that was heart-wrenching. It's a heart-wrenching to see that, to know that, oh my goodness, this is not some heightened situation. This is actually happening, you know, and there are ways there are ways to avoid this, you know, if we changed how things are being run and being done. But, you know, you articulated that, you know, so well. It felt so painfully real. What have you learned mostly from, you know, this is your thesis film.
Yeah.
Looks like it's your 35th film. So, I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
And well done. What have you learned from making this film, or what was the biggest challenge or things that you've kind of learned, particularly from this project?
Yeah. Like I said at the screenings last night, I mean, I just found out, you know, it was really just reaffirming that I love directing. You know, I feel like I have searched so long for something that, like, you know, I really liked and was also good at, you know, because I think, you know, anyone can be good at a certain amount of things, but to love it and to be invested in it with your heart is just so great, and that's the goal. And so that's what that was reaffirming for me on this set. Also, just that how important collaboration is.
Yes.
I think collaboration is the name of the game, you know. You know, I am the director of the short, you know, the buck kind of starts and stops with me on decisions, but I don't think any film or any piece of media can be made with just one person, because I don't think one person can truly create a world that is so well-rounded and contradictory. So, you know, just valuing every person on the set that brought some kind of different perspective to it, whether it was in front of the camera or behind.
Yeah.
And so that was very important.
Well, you did that, so well done, and I'm really, you know, excited for what more directing. You actually got a cheer last night, and you actually just put out the universe, said, I want to direct, like, go, yeah, let's go, Katie, go. And it's a really great realization to know where your heart is at, and you know, and again, it is a team effort, it's a collaboration, a team is everything, and so it's so nice when you've got a director that truly understands that concept as well. Anyways, but I want to know, what is next for you? What are you next working on? Where are you going next?
Yeah, I think in the immediate future, I want to do just like this short content series, you know, something for Instagram, something for Vimeo, YouTube, that is something I'm calling A Moment Before, where I take pictures of my grandparents who are just the epitome of like what a healthy, loving relationship is. And taking these photos that are special to me and just illustrating and filming, you know, what was happening before that moment, and just bringing out like the love, maybe like, you know, they're cooking and dancing in the kitchen, you know, at a holiday party, anything like that.
That's beautiful.
Thanks. And I think it's like a really fun chance to just, you know, do different kinds of emotions, do different kinds of shots to explore as a director. So that's kind of the immediate future. I'm also rewriting my first feature film that I have written. Yeah, thank you. Which is about a stateside conscientious objector in World War II who is a single father and also wants to create like a mental health care system in his town, while the whole town is also against him.
I'm ready for it all. I'm ready. I'm ready for it all. Well, that's going to be such heartwarming to have something around, you know, photographs of grandparents. It's a really great idea, by the way. It's really good. And something we all need love. We all need to feel love. So, you know, it's going to be so lovely. It's going to be set from your grandparents. And this, you know, feature, wow, that's going to be epic. So, but listen, thank you for bringing a very, very, you know, important film, a personal film. Welcome to the New Filmmakers family. Thank you for Jenna Has to Live, and educate yourselves about, you know, diabetes, because it's a real thing. And, you know, if you've got people working on set that experience that, then, you know, be sensitive and be accommodating as best as you can. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Katie. Thank you.